What's up, guys? Here today to do Akame got killed episode 14 review. So now this episode of Akame got killed, you know, picked up right where we left off with Esdeath and Tatsumi on that hill. You know, Esdeath basically coming out of nowhere according to Tatsumi and just landing down, slaughtering those danger beasts pretty easily, and then they're talking with Tatsumi. But the thing about it is that once they were there, Esdeath automatically sensed that there was someone hiding in the background, and she was right. It turns out to be the same guy that apparently is the one who was controlling all of Lord Stylish, what would you call it, experiments, those people who got turned into danger beasts. He really revealed it that it was in fact from Lord Stylish that he got those type of stuff. But it seems like, you know, he's run out of them at this point, and we see him use his own imperial arms called Shambhala or something like that, which apparently it you know, we get the lowdown on it that it's one of those type of imperial arms that transport people, that basically warp space and time, so it transport people great distances and uses a lot of energy, that sort of stuff. But because Esdeath and Tatsumi, they didn't know, even though it was being activated right in front of them, you know, he planned this out. They were in the very vicinity where the space-time warping was going on, so they couldn't do anything to prevent it. So they ended up getting warped over to some distant location, which, you know, they couldn't prevent, as I said. And then at that point, then they began to figure out that that was the type of imperial arms being used. And this episode, in my opinion, was a very good episode because we get a lot of backstory. We get some backstory about Tatsumi, even though we knew somewhat where he came from, his village. But we even get more info on how he got to learn to fight the Agent Beast, etc. But we even get more backstory into Esdeath's character, and, you know, and into Esdeath's past, which I believe is very interesting. And we find out that Esdeath, she came from one of those northern tribes up in the icy cold areas, and she used to naturally kill danger beasts as a child pretty easily, right, which is pretty remarkable. Her father was the village chief, and her father would just constantly tell her this philosophy of, you know, the strong being the ones who survive and the weak being the ones who die. And, you know, even her mother, he explained to her, sorry, her mother died in a from an attack, and as explained by her father, that was the reason why her mother died, because she was weak. And, you know, so they live by that code of sorts. And, you know, her father was basically explaining that her, you know, his daughter, she's very strong, she's a natural hunter, but that she was just missing something else, but he couldn't see what it was right before he got taken off. Then when she was out hunting this rare danger beast bird, came back with it because it took her a couple days to hunt it down. You know, it took her a couple days for the entire process. When she came back, she saw the entire village burning down, and, you know, the village people were defeated. Her father was defeated, and her father died right in front of her very eyes, right? So she was basically, she came face to face with that philosophy again, that the strong survive and the weak perish. So she basically said that at that point, that's why her father perished, right? I'm sure that it must have been a very traumatic thing for a child to experience, and from that point on, she went into imperial capital and to the imperial army, and I'm sure she must have been very strong naturally on her own volition. And then we even get even more information about her imperial arms, and her imperial arms is a very unique imperial arms, right? This imperial arms is a type of, it's basically a blood that came from one of the very powerful danger beasts up in the northern area, hence why the user has ice powers, and drinking the blood grants the user powers that the beast itself could use in real life. But it's not very compatible with everyone else. But she said from the very get-go, the blood was calling out to her, and she drank every last drop of it, because she said that in doing so, it would just, she felt that in doing so it means that her powers would be that much more powerful. So she drank every last drop, and upon drinking it, even someone like she, who had somewhat of a a pretty harsh background, it all of these negative urges, negative impulses, all of these killing urges, they began to try to act up more inside of her. But because she was more along that type of person, I'm guessing didn't affect her to drive her insane, so she was able to, in a sense, subdue those powers and assimilate them into her, where instead of driving her insane, she was just fine from it. And that's how she actually attained her imperial arms power. So her imperial arms is not a physical object that she has around her, it's just basically the blood of a very powerful danger beast that flows through her veins, that grant her that ice making ability to make ice appear out of nowhere. And man, is she powerful. We saw her do her stuff in this episode, and she's able to make like meteors out of thin air drop from the sky. She's insanely powerful. No wonder they say that she's the capital's strongest. There's no doubt about that. She's probably the strongest imperial arms user we've seen in this series thus far. They were definitely not wrong about that as well, because that giant over thing, the Lord Stylish body that took Night Raid multiple members to defeat, she defeated basically by herself, even though it was Tatsumi that landed the finishing blow on the human body part, which is required to fully defeat that creature. But she basically is one who did most of the work easily by herself, with somewhat of Tatsumi's help. So I mean, Esdeath, she's crazy strong, and what is also funny is that she just has this loving affection for Tatsumi that is just, she doesn't know why, but she just does. And at the end, Tatsumi somehow decided to run away from her again. He wanted to leave her behind, but considering all the good things she did for him while they were there together, he decided to let her know that the waypoint was open up before he moved through it. And after moving through it, he used Incresio to hide from her presence. But as Esdeath herself said, that she knows that they will meet up again, and says that yes, he can feel it in his bones. But he now knows that Esdeath is not the type of person that you can talk with, have a one-on-one talk and try to persuade otherwise. She's different in that regard. She's just naturally, in a sense, the way how she is in this way, which it was tough for him to finally accept. But he now says that whenever they do meet, which he's pretty sure, they will meet as enemies. So overall, I believe that this was a very good episode of Akame ga Kill. I liked it very much. It had a lot of interesting story elements in it, and I definitely can't wait to see where the story progresses from this point. So that's it, that's my review. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe. Sayonara.